Mid-21st century Earth. Two busy women, sprinting to their respective destinations, collide on a crowded sidewalk. In the scattered folders, something subtle happens. A single piece of paper, a family cookie recipe, is accidentally scooped up by the wrong woman. That small mistake sets off a bizarre chain reaction. The woman bakes those cookies for her 5-year-old daughter, Nancy, which immediately triggers a vivid, hyper-specific dream. In the dream, a friendly old man offers Nancy the exact same cookies and delivers a very specific message. He tells her that one day she will meet the man she is supposed to marry, and she will recognize him because of this exact recipe. A mundane accident, a prophetic dream, and a promise of future love. All the ingredients are there for a classic magical romance driven entirely by destiny. 20 years pass and the setting shifts drastically. We are now aboard Space Station Smith Beta, a massive military installation orbiting high above the Earth. Newly appointed Commander Chuck Bartholomew is walking through the station's concourse when he catches a scent he hasn't experienced since childhood. He follows it to a bakery counter, finding his late father's missing cookie recipe, and the woman serving them is Nancy. The childhood prophecy snaps into reality. Within moments of tasting the cookie and swapping stories about the recipe's origin, an intense gravitational romance sparks between them. This fairy tale connection is unfolding inside the cramped corridors of a high-alert military installation, where paranoid security forces spent every hour bracing for alien attack. That paranoia quickly becomes reality when the station loses all contact with the transport ship Hercules. The immediate assumption on the command deck is that hostile aliens have breached the vessel. Chuck takes charge with ice-cold precision. He dispatches his best friend, Lieutenant Hyatt, with a heavily armed team and explicitly orders him to either retake the Hercules or completely destroy it. The crisis escalates violently. Without warning, an energy beam lances out from the Hercules and vaporizes a small transport shuttle approaching the station. Hyatt, having survived the blast by hiding in a remote-controlled airlock, bypasses standard procedure. He locks all station weapons directly onto the Hercules, threatening to blow it out of the sky unless the captain provides a secure identity code. The captain complies, the standoff ends, and the truth comes out. There were no aliens. The communications blackout and the destruction of the shuttle were an orchestrated, brutal test of loyalty and command readiness. Chuck passes the simulation with top marks. When faced with a compromised ship, he didn't hesitate to order the destruction of his own commanding officer and his closest friend to protect the station. His actions prove a specific psychological profile. Chuck is a highly conditioned, calculating tactician who places military protocol far above human attachment. As a reward for his ruthless efficiency, Command offers Chuck the pinnacle of a military career, leading humanity's highly anticipated first colonial mission to Mars. Now he faces a massive collision of priorities. He has to choose between a legendary, decades-long deep space deployment or declining the offer to stay on Earth and build a family with Nancy. Against every expectation set by his military record, Chuck turns down the Mars assignment. He transfers to ground command, asks Nancy to marry him, and gives Hyatt the stars. It appears that personal agency has won. A cold, rigid military machine pushed its best officer to the absolute limit, only to watch human emotion and the pull of destiny override his programming. But to fully understand this decision, we have to pull back even further, away from Smith Beta to a highly classified secret satellite mirroring Earth's orbit. This chart shows the hierarchy of the human fleet, but if we look at the true chain of command, we find General Smith reporting his latest personnel updates to an extraterrestrial overlord named Zeldar. The entirety of the human armed forces swore their oaths of allegiance without realizing who was actually at the top. The admirals, the captains, and the soldiers are unwitting pawns executing an alien agenda. When Chuck submits his transfer request to ground command, it doesn't end up on a human desk at the Pentagon. General Smith presents it directly to Zeldar for final approval. The sweeping, magical romance that Chuck and Nancy believe was written in the stars is literally sitting on a clipboard, waiting to be greenlit by a cosmic controller. Zeldar evaluates the situation and approves the transfer. His reasoning is simple. Refusing the request would mean actively avoiding any interference with primitive human mating rituals, which could draw unwanted attention to their presence. But there is a secondary, far darker motive. Zeldar notes that placing a highly capable, conditioned officer like Chuck back on Earth will be extremely useful for a classified other objective they are running at ground command. Down on the surface, Chuck and Nancy celebrate in her kitchen. They embrace, completely convinced they have chosen love over duty and forged their own path forward. The affection between them is genuine, but their freedom is completely manufactured. Their beautiful, fated destiny is simply a permitted anomaly, a tolerated variable safely contained within a system of absolute alien control.